Good day, beautiful people, and welcome back to my podcast, Life Treasures and Golden Moments. This is Natalie Silva. Today's podcast is on Memorial Day, and I'd like to share this special story with you about A Time for Heroes, which was authored by Nancy Sullivan Ging. As you know, Memorial Day is an American holiday observed on the last Monday of May, and we honor the men and women who died while serving in the U.S. military. Originally, it was known as Decoration Day, and it originated in the years following the Civil War, and it became an official federal holiday in 1971. And now, today's story. I leaned against an oak at the side of the road, wishing I were invisible, keeping my distance from my parents on their lawn chairs and my younger siblings scampering about. I hope none of my friends saw me there. God forbid they caught me waving one of those small American flags Mom bought at Ben Franklin for a dime. I was 16 and I was too old and definitely too cool for a small town's Memorial Day parade. I ought to be at the lake, I brooded. But no, the all-day festivities were mandatory in my family. A high school band marched by. The girl in sequins missed her baton as it tumbled from the sky. Firemen blasted sirens in their polished red trucks. The uniforms on the troop of World War II veterans looked too snug on more than one member. "Here comes Mima," my father shouted. 5 black convertibles lumbered down the boulevard. The mayor was in the first one, handing out programs, and I didn't need to look at one. I knew my Uncle Bud's name was printed on it, as it had been every year since he was killed in Italy, our family's war hero. And I knew that pierced on the back seat of one of those cars, waving and smiling, was Mima, my grandmother. She had a corsage on her lapel and a sign of gold, embossed letters on the car door, Gold Star Mother. I hid behind the tree so I wouldn't have to meet her gaze. It wasn't because I didn't love her or appreciate her. She taught me how to sew and to call a strike in baseball. She made great cinnamon rolls, which we always ate after the parade. What embarrassed me was all the attention she got for a son who had died 20 years earlier. With 4 other children and a dozen grandchildren, why linger over this one long loss a long time ago? I peeked out from behind the old oak tree just in time to see Mima wave and blow my family a kiss as the motorcade moved on. The purple ribbon on her hat fluttered in the breeze. The rest of our Memorial Day ritual was equally scripted. No use trying to get out of it. I followed my family back to Mima's house, where there was the usual baseball game in the backyard and the same old reminiscing about Uncle Bud in the kitchen. Helping myself to a cinnamon roll, I retreated to the living room and plopped down on an armchair. There I found myself staring at an army photo of Bud on the bookcase. The uncle I had never known. I must have looked at him 1,000 times, so proud in his crested cap and knotted tie. His uniform was decorated with military emblems that I could never decode. Funny, he was starting to look younger to me as I got older. "Who were you, Uncle Bud?" I nearly asked aloud. I picked up the photo and turned it over. Yellowing tape had held a prayer card that read, "Lloyd Bud Heistman, 1925 to 1944, a great hero. 19 years old when he died, not much older than I was. But a great hero. How could you be a hero at 19? The floorboards creaked behind me. I turned to see Mima coming in from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. I almost hid the photo because I didn't want to listen to the same old stories I heard year after year. "Your Uncle Bud had this little rat terrier named Jiggs?" Good old Jiggs, how he loved that mutt. He wouldn't go anywhere without Jiggs. He used to put him in the rumble seat of his Chevy coupe and drive all over town. Remember how hard Bud worked after we lost the farm? At haying season, he'd worked all day, sunrise to sunset, baling for other farmers. Then he brought me all his wages, he'd say, "Mama, someday I'm going to buy you a brand new farm, I promise." There wasn't a better boy in the world. Sometimes I wondered about that boy dying alone in a muddy ditch in the foreign country he'd only read about. I thought of the scared kid who jumped out of the foxhole in front of an advancing enemy, only to be downed by a sniper. I couldn't reconcile the image of the boy and his dog with that of the starlit soldier. Mima stood beside me for a while, looking at the photo. From outside came the sharp snap of an American flag, flapping in the breeze, and the voices of my cousins cheering my brother at bat. "Mima," I asked, "what's a hero?" Without a word, she turned and walked down the hall to the back bedroom, and I followed. She opened a bureau drawer and took out a small metal box, then sat down on the bed. "These are Bud's things," she said. "They sent them to us after he died." She opened the lid and handed me a telegram dated October 13th, 1944. "The Secretary of State regrets to inform you that your son, Lloyd Heisman, was killed in Italy." Your son. I imagine Mima reading that sentence for the first time. I didn't know what I would do if I had gotten a telegram like that. "Here's Bud's wallet," she continued. Even after all those years, it was caked with dried mud. Inside was Bud's driver's license, with the date of his 16th birthday. I compared it with the driver's license I had just received. A photo of Bud holding a little spotted dog fell out of the wallet. Jiggs. Bud looked so pleased with his mutt. There were other photos in the wallet. A laughing Bud standing arm in arm with two of his buddies. Photos of my mum and aunt and uncle. Another of Mima waving. This was the home Uncle Bud took with him, I thought. I could see him in a foxhole, taking out these snapshots to remind himself of how much he was loved and how much he was missed. "Who's this?" I asked, pointing to a shot of a pretty dark-haired girl. "Marie. Bud dated her in high school. He wanted to marry her when he came home. A girlfriend? Marriage? How heartbreaking to have a life, plans, and hopes for the future so brutally snuffed out." Sitting on the bed, Mima and I sifted through the treasures in the box. A gold watch that had never been wound again, a sympathy letter from the President Roosevelt, and one from Bud's commander, a medal shaped like a heart trimmed with a purple ribbon, and at the very bottom, the deed to Mima's house. "Why is this here?" I asked. "Well, because Bud bought this house for me," she explained. "How after his death, the U.S. government gave her $10,000, and with it she built the house she was still living in. He kept his promise all right," Mima said in a quiet voice that I'd never heard before. For a long while, the two of us sat there on the bed. Then we put the wallet, the medal, the letters, the watch, the photos, and the deed back into the metal box. I finally understood why it was so important for Mima and me to remember Uncle Bud on this day. If he'd lived longer, he might have built that house for Mima or married his high school girlfriend. There might have been children and grandchildren to remember him by. As it was, there was only that box, the name in the program, and the reminiscing around the kitchen table. I guess he was a hero, because he gave everything for what he believed, I said carefully. "Yes, my child," Mima replied, wiping a tear with the back of her hand. "Don't ever forget that." You know, and I haven't. Even today, with Mima gone, my husband and I take our lawn chairs to the tree-shaded boulevard on Memorial Day and give our 3 daughters small American flags that I buy for $1 at the Ben Franklin store. I want them to remember that life isn't just about getting what you want. Sometimes it involves giving up the things you love for what you love even more. That many men and women did the same for their country. That's what I think when I see the parade pass by now. And if I close my eyes and imagine, I can still see Mima in her regal purple hat, honoring her son, a true American hero. Thank you to our author today, Nancy Sullivan Ging. As I was sharing this story with you today, another author came to mind, a songwriter called Julie Gold. I'm sure you've heard of her. And she wrote a beautiful, beautiful song that touches the hearts and lives of people all over the world. Because we have unrest all over the world and we have wars. It's just not in America, but everywhere. And the song is called From a Distance, and I'd like to share some of those words with you today. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land, bringing songs of hope and songs of peace. It's a song of everyone. From a distance, we all have enough. Nobody's in need. There are no bombs, no guns, no hungry mouths to feed, and no illnesses. We are all together, marching in a common band, playing songs of hope, peace. They're the songs of everyone. From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. And I can't comprehend what all this fighting is for. God is watching us from a distance. I'd like to thank you to all the brave men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice to protect our country. On this day, we honor our heroes. We stand proud in their honor and count our blessings and pray for peace for all humanity. Thank you so much for listening today. Until next time, take care and may God bless. This is Natalie Silva. From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, the voice of peace, the voice of everyone. From a distance, we all have enough, and there's no one that is in need. And there are no guns, no bombs, and no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments. We're all marching in a common band. Singing songs of hope, songs of peace. They are songs of everyone on this land. God is watching us. God is watching us. He is watching us from a distance. From a distance, From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. And from a distance, I just can't comprehend what all this fighting is for. From a distance, we all live in harmony, and it echoes through our lands. Can you hear the voice of hope, the voice of peace, the voice of everyone on this land? It's the hope of hope. It's the love of love. It's a song everyone lives on this land. God is watching us. Yes, He's watching us. He is watching us from a distance. God is watching us. Let's make a difference so we all may have peace in this beautiful, wonderful land. From a distance, take care and God bless each and every one in this beautiful world of ours. Again, this is Natalie Silva.